Hello guys and welcome back. So let's move on to the ear, the rest of the ear. So I think what I can do here is I can actually make this guy go in like that, just to have one more loop to wrap around the connection here, and then I can have a face to finish it. That way it feels more complete. Okay, so I have all the loops connected to the side of the face. Okay, and that can keep going down, and this can keep going up. Okay, and then what I can do is I can holding down tab and extrude out these faces all the way to the base of the ear. Right. Oops. Okay, fill that in. Alright. Oh, one more thing I want to fix though. Kind of have to break that. Okay, and then let me add one more edge loop in the middle and fill in that gap. Okay. Right now it's time to maybe fill that in, and I kind of wanted to have just one more loop here and fill that in. Okay, so the reason I need that one more loop is because I kind of want this ear spec to be represented better than just one line, because you know that you will, when you do subsurface scattering, you know, those kind of like high-end materials, the ear has to have the correct thickness and to really show the back face scattering. So that's why you kind of need to have more loops on the back to be able to represent the different thickness on the back. Okay, so at least you need these lines, 3 lines, I think, to represent that. So that's why I'm doing this. Okay, all right, and I can just even out those lines on the outside. I don't really worry about them. Okay, all right. Okay, so now moving on from here, I can extend out from the ear to the rest of the face. Okay. Now again, when I keep extending this loop, at some point I need to end up with a pole. Here, this one, you can see one pole here, another one pole here. They're on the same loop, and you can going down here. You can see another pole over there, right? And so for every circular shape, if you wanted to eventually transfer it into a grid-like shape, like these guys here, okay, you do have to have poles, and you need exactly 4 poles to do that. So we have one more pole due somewhere here. Let me see, where do I want it to put it? The position you put the pole will be determining how many loops going downwards and how many loops going to the back. So if I have the pole happening over here, you can see these guys are going downwards, right? These guys, and these guys are going backwards. Okay, now that's all determined by where the pole is. If I were to say, okay, this pole is going to be over here, then I have one more loop going down, right? One lesser loop going towards the back. That's the usage of the pole. Okay, let me do that. I kind of wanted the pole to be happening a little bit later, towards the front, so I have lesser lines going down. The reason I want lesser lines to go down is because if you have a lot of lines going down, it's hard to manage on the neck. But if you have a lot of lines going backwards, you have a lot of space on the backside. So that's why I'm having them over there, going backwards. But anyway, I can also reposition these guys to even out their spacing. Okay. Generally speaking, the ear is going to be the hardest part. There's 2 really hard parts on the human body topology. They're not going to be the face, the eye, the nose, or the mouth, or the body, but 2 things: the hand and the ear. Of course, the toes if you have the foot, right? But other than that, everything else are pretty straightforward. Okay, so now I can have these guys going down now. Holding down tab and middle mouse button, I can start extruding down. Okay, for the faces going down towards the neck. Okay, and then I can holding down Alt and drag these guys backwards for the faces going back to the back of the head. I can go all the way to the center. Okay. And be careful about this edge, this gap here though, because you know that's something we don't really have anything, so we do want to avoid having any vertices in the gap. Okay, so let me just fill that in, and then I can just hold it on Control and edge loops down the middle. Right, you can delete something here, Control Shift and click, and then reposition these guys if that's easier for you. And you can hold it on Shift to smooth out their position. Okay. All right. Okay. So when I look at this now, I'm worrying about how many lines I will go down, because I think that might be too much. But we'll see eventually. For now, I think it's doing okay. But one thing we can do to make it easier is we can delete that diamond shape and just delete all these guys. Make those keep looping. And you can see the more I keep looping this loop, the lesser I will go up, I will go down. You can see that I'm having one lesser line going down, right? If I were to say I want it to be keep looping there, I can have it keep going here. You can see the pole now becomes here, and you can see we have much lesser line again, not only going downwards but also going backwards, right? And you can see I can even out those guys even more. So there are a lot of tricks down here that you can use to, you know, determine how many lines will go up and down, things like that. And here I can even say, how about I just delete this line, because I don't really want it to be that populated here. So let me actually reposition these guys, smooth these out. Okay, that way I'm having lesser line going downwards. Right. So there are many ways you can refactor some of the structures, right, to make them go more or less. Okay, so this is much less line going down compared to before. Now again, some people may argue that that means you're not having the same pole on the same loop. Again, I'm totally against that idea of having all the loops on, you know, all the poles on the same loop. I don't really think that's needed. Okay, so I just don't really follow that rule. But other than that, everything else should be fine. Okay, so now we have basically everything on the face down except the top. Okay, so for the top, it's basically a cylindrical, a spherical shape, and all we have to do is find where do we go to the sideways, where do we go up. But one thing we can do for sure is that we know that this guy keep going up will be connected to the front, right? So it's going to be connected to this guy. So I can extrude out and do that connection here first. Okay. And then afterwards I can keep doing that and connect to the second line, right? Okay, so I can keep going down here, and of course reposition that. Okay, and I can just keep doing that until I get all the lines connected. Yeah, I can smooth that out. Okay, and I can just keep going. You see that if you keep doing this, there's always a way you can fill them together, because you know that they are even numbers. Okay. The reason they're even numbers is because they're symmetrical. So you have, it's guaranteed to have even numbers of lines. Okay, so just gonna keep going. So no matter how many lines you have on the left, you have enough, the same amount of lines on the other side. So that means this entire hole is gonna be having a even number instead of an odd number. So if you keep going, connect from one side to the other side, at some point they were going to be exactly matching properly. Okay. All right. So let me smooth that out before I keep on going. Okay. So I think these guys can keep going here. So let me do this, drag this guy out and holding down tab and middle mouse button to extrude out these guys up. Okay, and then do that again over here. Now here's some important structure that you want to do, which is you have the bone structure actually going this way, right? So that means you can actually create something like this, a corner shape, to redirect those lines so that they can just all go this way, right? And then I can keep going. All right, and keep going. Now you can see I need more lines going towards the top, okay, because I have more lines going from the bottom. But you can see now I just need to fill in whatever is here in the middle. Okay, that becomes, you know, lines that has to be coming from the top and the side, and we have all those structures empty so that we can fill in, right? So this part, all we have to do is just keep going and then add new lines if we need more, and eventually we can fit them all together. So this goes here this way, and I can have one more line on the top. Okay, let's see, we need one more line going to the top, and then we're done. Okay, now don't worry about them becoming not even yet. You can see they're not very even, but one thing you can do to make this quickly even out is you can hit holding down the B button and dragging. So you can see now you have a really interesting fall off here. It's like a heat map. Now you can just click and drag on the model while holding down Shift. Of course, you can see you can even them out really quickly. Okay. All right, so let me just even out those lines. You can of course holding down B and drag to change the radius, and then just smooth these guys out here. You can use that to also make big adjustment if you wanted to. Right. So what I want to achieve is make the top nice and even. Okay. And also maybe the back also a little bit. All right. So with these, now we're happy with the shape. One thing I do want to actually fix though is that, back to Quadro, is that I kind of wanted more lines here. So let me add one more line here, and I kind of wanted to make that line go down, and that line go down because I don't want the front to be having very little line. So I wanted to move them closer to the front. Okay, now theoretically speaking, here you need a lot of lines if you wanted to represent things like the wrinkle you have when you raise your eyebrow. So you can add more lines if you wanted to, but it all boils down to, like, do you really want that much amount of detail, right? You can even use normap to represent that, so you can choose to either have that or not. In my opinion, I don't really bother that much on that part, but I still kind of wanted to give it enough geometry in the front so that it can represent the shape better. Okay, so it's up to you to choose or decide how much you want it to go eventually, but I'm just gonna go this much for now. Those things can now be refined eventually. All right, that's a lot of time already, and I just wanted to finish this hat and be done with it, so that's why I'm gonna spend some time to refine these guys. Okay, I think they're in a good position now. Okay, just need to refine some of the positioning, I think. Okay, all right, let's say this is good enough. Okay, and we're gonna stop this video and moving on to the next, and we can now do the neck and the body parts. Okay, see you next time.